And I mean, because I had to be open, I had to be really, like, I had to share all my experiences with that. And you know, sometimes during that process, you still thinking like, do I need to keep my cool and keep a certain perspective about these things? But when Adam Bradley and myself were writing it, I was in a really raw place where I was willing to just open up and tell everything that I experienced during that relationship from my perspective. And I think, you know, I held Erica in a good light because she is a queen, she is a strong and incredibly beautiful woman. But I told my perspective and how that relationship affected me because it taught me a lot about myself. It taught me, like, through the relationship and through the breakup, it taught me that I was willing to dim my light for somebody else. And you really can't do that in anything, in any situation. I don't care who you're around. You could be around somebody that you admire the most, but it's not necessary for you to dim your light for that. In a relationship with family members or whatever, God gave you your light. You let that light shine in the world. And that's what I learned in that relationship. So I decided to share that because I knew that lesson would be powerful for some.
Carmen, talk about your mom, and then I'm going to bring Dr. Hines back in. Talk about how your mom has been a guiding force and an inspiration in your life and in your work.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the most important things you can get in life is love. And the first thing I knew from my mother was love. Love that came in a pure way, love that came in a disciplinarian way, love that came just from a mother loving her son. And at one point in the first 7.5 years of my life, it was just she and I. So that love was coming strong, and it taught me how to love in a way, and taught me to love myself, and gave me a great foundation. And along with that, I got to see my mother as an educator, as a teacher, go beyond just being a teacher and saying, yeah, this is what I do in class. She tried to help out her students on an extra level. She helped out my friends who didn't have mothers, who had lost their mothers, or mothers that had been on drugs. She helped them out too, and I got to see my mother be a giving person, be someone who was able to reach out to others. And somewhere in my life that shaped me to want to give, just seeing that example. And I know it worked like that because my daughter Moye told my mother that one of the reasons she wanted to give homeless people money is because she saw her daddy doing it. So I know the example that my mother set really instilled in me being able to be a giver, and that was important for me. So she gave me a lot of great foundation. She took me to church, to Trinity, and to that church gave me a great foundation. I had a pastor in Reverend Wright who was just incredible, who was helping to like shape the mind of a young black man who needed to know that I was unapologetically black and unashamedly Christian. And that was a beautiful thing for me to experience. So my mother set that foundation for me.
Come on up, Mom. Y'all give it up for Dr. Mahalia Hines, Carmen's mother. Dr. Hines, talk about the importance. We got a lot. How many parents do we have? Raise your hand if you are a parent. Okay. What message would you give to the parents about the importance of raising healthy, well-balanced children?
It's really funny because we met a young lady at a book signing who said something that I thought was very powerful, and it sort of stayed with me. She was pregnant, and she said to us that raising a good man or a good woman starts right here. And I thought that was very powerful. They used to tell me that I came here old, and maybe that was the case, because even as a young mother, I knew what I wanted my son to look like. I wanted him to look like someone that I would like as a boyfriend or a husband. That was first. And so in order to do that, I had to instill in him at a young age the respect that I wanted to see. So he may not remember it, but I can remember when he was 5 or 6, and he attempted to walk out of a door before me and sort of got knocked back. I won't say what I really did, sort of pushed back, okay? I remember at a very young age when he was 5 or 6, he was taught at that age that you pull a chair out for me. And so those some of the characteristics. I also knew that it was nothing that I could do by myself. I could build the foundation at a young age. And in building the foundation, it is very important that you put your children in the company of people that you admire or you respect, that you want them to be like. So while even from birth to 7, he was not around a male figure as far as a husband went, he was around strong males. After 7 years old, and I remarried to a great black spiritual man, he was around him who indirectly influenced him, whether he knows it or not. I was so strong. That was another thing that I started to tell young mothers. Pull back on the stepfathers. Don't get in the way. Pull back on the stepfathers. We get in the way. And I know I truly did, so I'm blessed that he came out like he did. But also his father came into his life later. He was able to get himself together. And so I was willing to let Rashid be a part of his life, because once again, you must remember not to make your children pay the price for the decision you make. If you don't like the man you pick, then you don't like him. You know, that's your problem, and you need to deal with it. But you need to be respectful to this man, develop some kind of relationship, and even if you don't, make sure his father or her father can have a relationship with them. The worst thing I see young women do is try to punish the man by not letting the child spend time with him. And eventually you will pay a price for that. So definitely as he got older, he spent time with his father, grew to love him and develop a mutual respect. He was around my brother and other men. So I think that was very important. And I think the third thing is, this generation to me is one of the greatest, and I think his generation also was. They're very smart, much smarter than we were, in my opinion, because of the experiences they have. I think it's very important that we model the behavior we want to see. You cannot tell your child not to get high and you smoking around. You can't exhibit the behavior you want a daughter to have if you bringing a man up in your house and putting a child out the bed. You cannot do that. You have to, I'm not saying I didn't date between 1 and 7, but he didn't know anybody I was dating because I wasn't going to marry.
Amen.
Okay? So it is very important that you model the behavior, that you provide your child with the experiences that they need, that you provide them with love, and that you provide them with structure. And you also must love yourself. I say in the book, while I loved him more than anything, I did not love him more than me. He could not have 3 pairs of shoes, and I have 2, and I'm the one working. It didn't work like that. It didn't work like that. I don't even know, he may not remember. I remember one day he came home from Faulkner, the elementary school he was going to, and at that time, you know, teachers didn't get paid much. I was a teacher. So I couldn't buy polo shirts. So I bought one that looked like a polo shirt. And he came home and he told me, Mama, this shirt is generic, because my friend said it was generic. And I told him to go back and tell his friends that they didn't put $1 on it. So it was real clear that we had ways that we would operate in that house. And I was an adult and he was a child. Much love, but much structure.
Right.
And so those are the 5 things